The last three essays are not so much concerned with the vampire in a particular cultural setting as with seeking to understand the vampire phenomenon in general. The first of the three is a remarkable erudite study by historian Paul Barber, who proposes a novel approach to the vampire. He believes that most, if not all, of the beliefs surrounding the vampire can be explained in terms of the folk perception or misperception of what happens to a cadaver after death. The second of the three final essays represents the clinical and criminological approaches to vampires. There seem to be individuals who act out vampire-like behavior. That is, they ingest the blood of their victims. Whether this bizarre behavior is caused by vampire folklore, or whether it is a possible original cause of vampire folklore, is not altogether certain. In any case, Professor Philip Jaffe of the University of Geneva and Frank Di Cataldo of the Bridgewater State Hospital in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, offer quite a different perspective on the vampire, or vampirism. The last essay, by the editor, tries to achieve a combined folkloristic and psychoanalytic approach to bring the volume to a close. The reader may or may not find persuasive any of the various theoretical attempts to illuminate the vampire of tradition, but at the very least, the reader may come to understand that the vampire is much more than simply a scary creature of the human imagination. The vampire has been and continues to be a factor in the lives of all those who encounter it, in reality or in fiction. It is truly a matter of life and death. The Vampire in Romania, by Agnes Mergoch. The folklore of vampires is of special interest from the light it throws on the primitive ideas about body and soul, and about the relation of the body and soul after death. In Russia, Romania, and the Balkan states, there is an idea, sometimes vague, sometimes fairly definite, that the soul does not finally leave the body and enter into paradise until 40 days after death. It is supposed that it may even linger for years, and when this is the case, decomposition is delayed. In Romania, bodies are disinterred at an interval of 3 years after death in the case of a child, of 4 or 5 years in the case of young folk, and of 7 years in the case of elderly people. If decomposition is not then complete, it is supposed that the corpse is a vampire. If it is complete, and the bones are white and clean, it is a sign that the soul has entered into eternal rest. The bones are washed in water and wine and put in clean linen. A religious service is held, and they are reinterred. In Bukovina and the surrounding districts there was an orgy of burials and reburials in the years 1919 and 1920, for not only were people dying of epidemics and hardships, but also the people who had died in the early years of the war had to be disinterred. It is now considered to be exceptional that a spirit should reanimate its body and walk as a vampire, but in a vampire story quoted below, it is said that they were once as common as blades of grass. It would seem that the most primitive phase of the vampire belief was that all departed spirits wished evil to those left, and that special means had to be taken in all cases to prevent their return. The most typical vampire is therefore the reanimated corpse. We may call this the dead vampire type. People destined to become vampires after death may be able in life to send out their souls, and even their bodies, to wander at crossroads with reanimated corpses. This type may be called the live vampire type. It merges into the ordinary witch or wizard, who can meet other witches or wizards either in the body or as a spirit. A third type of vampire is the varkalak, which eats the sun and moon during eclipses. A typical vampire of the reanimated corpse type may have the attributes of a lover, as in Scott's William and Helen. The zmeyu may also be such a lover. The strigela are not really vampires, but are sometimes confused with them. They are spirits either of living witches, which these send out as a little light, or of dead witches who can find no resting place. These strigela come together in uneven numbers, 7 or 9. They meet on rocky